Well, hello. All right, here's the supplies you will need. Glass cleaner, 2 whites, 1 yellow, your blade, your squeegee, your steel wool. It's okay to eyeball this part. I just do 1 healthy squeeze of the Dawn and then hot water. Good morning or afternoon, whenever you're watching this, who knows. I just want to put in a little side note here. For the water, there is kind of an art to it. You don't want there to be too little soap. You don't want there to be too much soap. So the lead that's going to be training you is going to really show you the amount of water and soap to be putting in the bucket, just so that you have that good consistency where it's optimal for glass cleaning. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, hear this? Try not to get my computer wet. It's very squishy, okay? If you were to squeeze it, right? It's gonna have that pouring out of it. That is the consistency that you want because it's gonna be soapy enough. It's not gonna be like sopping where it's gonna be dripping everywhere, but you have enough consistency, water, and soap in this rag to thoroughly wash a frame, a glass, and this is the perfect amount of soap. Dawn dish soap is designed to pull the dirt to it. So it kind of like magnetizes dirt to it. That's the thing that makes Dawn soap so amazing, right? You want enough soap in there where it's going to magnetize and pull out all of those dirt particles from the window because them's be stuck in there, girl, like real bad stuck in her. I usually start and work my way from left to right or from right to left here, and you're just gonna want to follow the entire white frame all the way around, and then take a little chunk of your microfiber and you're gonna like wedge it into the corners just like we do for woodwork because it's gonna pull all that gunk out of there. And then I also just do a once over on the glass here like I listed it, just so it can soak because there's paint splatter on the glass. There's numerous things on the glass that are gonna need to come off, and they come off so much easier if they soak. These door tracks typically always just take a lot of time to do because even when you toothbrush them and you vacuum them out, they're still stuck in debris that doesn't come out at that step. So typically you're gonna end up having to like re-wipe that same track area numerous times before it'll come clean, and you're gonna have to rinse your rag. It's just part of the deal, but you want to make sure that you get as much of it out so it looks as brand new as possible. And see that little piece, make sure you pop that out with your hand, and then you're gonna wash that too, and then make sure you wash underneath where that's supposed to go as well. Look, it's so beautiful. So then you take your steel wool. Once the glass now has had a chance to soak a little bit, when you do this steel wool thing, everything should come off the glass like butter. It should not be all stuck on there. Some things like some glue, sticker, adhesive might be a little bit stubborn, and if you go over it a few times back and forth with your moderate pressure and it's still not lifting, that is the point where you would use a blade on any of the residual stuff that's not coming off. So things about the blade: 1, you're going to want to make sure that it's a fresh blade and it's not all rusted looking. 2, you need to make sure that the surface that you are blading is wet. As long as you keep that surface wet and you go at it from like a 45-degree angle, you will not scratch the glass.
Disclaimer here, okay?
I'm just gonna tell you guys, we had a situation one time in 4.5 years, okay, where there were 2 employees that used blades.
They didn't use steel wool.
They just got the glass wet
And used a blade on the entire window.
That is a
Huge.
no.
Can I say it louder for the people in the back, okay?
Don't use a blade on the entire window.
Only use a blade if you absolutely need to.
Little paint specks that won't come out.
Or
This clear adhesive stuff that you'll get to know really well that is kind of stubborn with steel wool.
Or
Sticker tape residue.
Those are the only scenarios in which you should be using a blade on the glass.
If you're going to use a blade, follow my previous instructions that you just listened to about having
wet soapy glass and a wet blade.
very
Very, very important.
This glass that I'm talking about with these previous employees, it was scratched to...
How?
It was scratched so bad, you guys, that I had to pay
$10,000.
to replace the windows in this particular place. What I want to tell you is that not all glass is created equal.
Okay.
There are different types of glass. Glass that you're going to find that is on exterior windows, meaning like the outside walls of a house or a building, that's going to typically be a lot harder glass.
However,
There are certain scenarios where you will find something that's called...
Tempered glass.
There's these little stickers that come on the windows. When you're doing the prep part of the new construction, you will see them. It will be a neon colored sticker and it will say tempered. That glass is much softer than normal glass, to the point where don't use a blade on it. If you absolutely have to, you be very, very gingerly. You be very soft with a blade if you're going to have to use a blade on any certain little tiny part of that type of glass.
anyways,
All of this glass that was scratched,
was tempered.
and some of it, very few panes, were exterior harder glass
But they still scratched
The shit.
out of this glass
even the exterior glass.
using a blade, just not paying attention on the whole thing.
I do not teach windows that way. Nobody that is going to show you windows is going to teach you windows that way.
Do not ever do windows that way.
Never.
Ever, ever, ever. That costs a lot of money. Do you have $10,000 just sitting around? Because I don't. You can imagine what a huge hit that was to us.
So please, 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 please
If you take anything away from this video,
take away.
what I just said here.
Thanks.
Then once you have bladed, you've steel wooled, we're gonna grab your squeegee and your yellow, and you're just gonna come through and you're literally gonna squeegee down all the glass. With doors that are this big like this, I literally just do these huge long strips. You could probably get away with doing like the top half and then squat and do the bottom half, but I don't know. I was just feeling like this was working for me today. Something you did not see me do here, which you should have, you take the yellow and you wipe up all the slop. You're squeegeeing everything to the bottom. There's gonna be all sorts of that watery stuff sitting there. You just soak that right up with a yellow, and then you just go through with the white and you're gonna wipe everything dry. Basically the only thing you're gonna have to wipe dry is like 4 corners of all the windows all the way around like I'm doing here, because the glass is pretty much dried from the squeegee. By this stage in the game, like the wood frame around the window and all that is dry as well. So then we finish up by polishing the glass. I just keep a second white strictly for the glass cleaner so that it stays really nice and clean. There's only glass cleaner on it and it is not going to give you any streaking. Do you see here how I'm moving it back and forth all the way down the glass? So there's not one little inch of glass that I'm not touching with a rag and the glass cleaner. And then you're also going to want to look at this from multiple angles once you're at the glass cleaning stage. Look at it straight on and from the right and from the left, because straight on you might not see all the streaking, and you look from another angle and you can see something you missed very easily. Okay, yes, I did keep footage of this, wiping up the excess water with the yellow, although it doesn't really show it that well, but you get the point. And then again, after squeegeeing, you're just gonna soak up all of that water, and I'm just really going around the edges. When you see it up close, you'll see the water that the squeegee didn't get that you're gonna be soaking up. And then here's your glass cleaner step again. Start at the top and go side to side. This is really why I put product all the way down the center of the glass so that you can grab some each time you swipe. That really gives you the perfect amount of product on your rag at all times. Then here is the process on a smaller window, just all over again. So here I am detailing the frame. Here's a slow-mo up close version of what we want you to do. You see how we're working that micro back and forth into the corners. It really pulls out all the dirt really nicely. Not just the corners, also these locks, the little channel that you see in between the 2 windows. Every little inch of these door frames and window frames needs to be completely detailed. And to really get in them frames, when you see that little channel there, that's the channel I'm talking about. You just take a really tiny little piece of that micro and you shove it way in there. And when you work it back and forth 3, 4, 5 times, it will pull out more and more dirt each time. And then here I'm just continuing to work the dirt out, and it's very time consuming, but is very necessary to do. So the same thing in these channels. It doesn't matter if the window slides open or if you have to slide it up to open it. These channels are all going to be needing cleaning. They get very dirty during the construction process just because a lot of water and all that kind of stuff gets in there. I do not expect them to come out perfect, okay, because they are exposed to the outside elements. So just get them as good as you can. What I did here is totally acceptable. Now here's a different kind of window channel. You can see it's got this like little valley in there. The only thing that I can get in there is a grout brush. Side note, if you don't have your grout brush, or let's say your grout brush bristles are really shitty, you know, worn down, you can also use your plastic scraper and then put your yellow over it like this, and it's pretty narrow. You can use this as a method too to get down in there, and that should suffice. Take your grout brush if you need to. The toothbrush is too wide to get in there, but the bristles with the grout brush are long enough to get down in there. So that's what I use to scrub this area back and forth. Rinse it as you need, and then just wipe it out with the yellow afterwards, because that will soak up any excess crud that you... I will say that when you go back through with your yellow at this point to soak everything up, these particular type of window channels are really a pain in the booty. So here's a close-up. You take a little corner of this, just like so, and you wedge it down into that channel, and then you're just gonna push back and forth, and you're gonna keep working it back and forth until you see more and more of that dirt come out. You might do this a few times and then go to another section on your rag, just like I'm gonna do here, and then do the same thing. I mean, there's so many uses on that one rag that you can keep working into the channel like that. So that's really all you do, pick up all of that gunk that's really stuck in there. And just real quickly, coming back to the inside of the windowsills, when you have the window open, that inside channel there, I do wipe out all of it, not just that bottom part you see, but I went all the way around and just gave it a quick wipe, just because that stuff gets built up in it all the time too. So if I'm going to do all of these windows in one shot, typically what I do is I wash the entire wood frame first, and also don't forget to open these windows and do those inside channels. Once I do the inside channels and I'm done with that part completely, when I close the window, we either do it at this step or we do it at the final walkthrough. We check and make sure that the windows are locked. That could be a huge liability for us if we left those unlocked and the house was to get broken into. That completely falls on us, and that would be terrible. And then more on this note, I'm actually going to show you what I mean here so you're not confused at all. Okay, so when you're scrubbing on the glass and your hand is like up against the glass, right? You have the steel wool that's gonna sit right here and flat against the glass. I use one of these two fingers or both of them, and I keep it on the glass too as I'm scrubbing, because between these two fingers, I can feel the glass, like, it has feelings too. The entirety of the glass when I'm going along it, and I can feel whether there's shit still stuck on the glass that's not coming off the steel wool. So then I make a mental note, oh, okay, I need to use a blade there. Or I hold the blade in my other hand, right? And if I feel something that ain't coming off, I stop really quick, blade that sucker, and then use me, and then I go on with my business. So hopefully that helped. You can kind of sort of see me do it here with my thumb.
So this little note here, remember to wipe the squeegee off with the yellow after every vertical pass down.
I just keep the yellow in my hand and I wipe the squeegee off. I wish I would have had a better angle for this. I am so sorry. Anyways, the squeegee slops so much stuff down that it just really, really helps if you just wipe it off every single time. I cut myself off. I wanted to say time there. Wipe it off every single time, girl. Glass cleaner! So, I mean, I put a fair amount of glass cleaner on each pane, but, you know, not a shit ton. I mean, just use enough so that you can work it, you know, girl, and that you have enough on your rag to last you, and that's all you need. I hope this was helpful. Was it helpful? I really hope it was.